Welcome to I Create Positivity TV. I am Coach Petros, and today I bring to you a real talent, a wonderful young woman. And seriously, we've all got to watch what we say because, we could find ourselves in some serious trouble. I'm speaking with Sylvia, and geez, I hope I pronounced your surname right, Schiavoni. Did I say it right?
Schiavoni or Sharper?
There we go. Straight off the bat, I've mucked it up already. But that's right, we soldier on. Now, Sylvia is the current Australian bantamweight pro boxing champion and Victorian Thai boxing champion. Did I get all that right?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
yes.
1 out of 2. So far, so good. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Sylvia.
I'm a non-athlete that is an athlete. So basically I just fell in love with the sport, but in terms of being into sport in general, I never have been. Everything I've done in this sport, I've had to work really hard at. I'm not naturally talented. I wasn't into fitness or anything like that. I just found something I loved and then naturally wanted to progress at it. And as it evolved, it then became something that I wanted to compete in. It was like a natural progression for me to be able to test myself. But when I came into it, it was just for a bit of fun. I never thought that I would fight. I never thought I'd step in the ring. I never thought I'd be a Victorian champion Thai boxing, let alone an Australian champion in boxing. Boxing especially, because I only started boxing to improve my Thai boxing because I literally could not put 2 punches together. I was pitiful at hands. So it's been pretty amazing that just going to improve my hands has turned into me just being crowned the Australian champion. So
that's wonderful. We sometimes, I guess, don't realise which way our calling is going to take us.
Yeah.
Now, just so the people watching know what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about dealing with performance pressure. And performance pressure can appear not just under, sports commitments or sports performance. It can be in our daily lives, at work, and that pressure can be quite unnerving.
Yeah.
But before we really hit the heart of the topic, let's set the story up. Let's build a little bit of background. Now, you sort of gave us a little bit of insight how, with getting into the boxing and the kickboxing. But how did you actually end up getting into it? What was it about that actually made you want to pursue it, and to such a high level too, considering that you were a non-athlete, as you put it?
I think with fighting and combat sports, well, it's probably all sports really, but it's something about it. I played soccer before that. That was the only other sport I liked. But fighting is an individual sport. So although you've got a massive team, and trust me, you've got a team that help get you ready, everything that you put into it is what you get out of it. So at the end of the day, the onus is on you to perform. And naturally, it's like a chess game fighting as well. Like, so you can learn your technique. It'll never be perfect. But then on top of that, there's strategy. And then you're never going to have the same fight twice. Everyone that fights you is going to come in a different style, different way. So I think you constantly have to improve, and I think that's what's addictive about it, because you will never get to the point where you're not challenged anymore. There's always going to be someone that's come along and test you in some different way. So I think for me, even just the physical side, from being an unco to learning how to throw a left kick or put 2 punches together, was one thing. But then it came down to wanting to test my abilities in the ring. And then once I got in the ring, then it became really about the mental side of the sport. And there's no room for self-doubt in that environment. So I've had a lot of ups and downs there. And so I think the mental challenge of it is probably the thing that makes it even more addictive.
So what I sort of got from that is the challenge of always growing or pushing yourself to keep growing. I just wanted to highlight something you said there. You said, you're never going to be perfect. So or something along those lines of you have to be perfect, and yet no one can really define what perfect is. So understand. And that ties in with what you were saying about you're always challenging and evolving. So how can you be perfect? Take that as the perfection. So For those who might be wondering what on earth is performance pressure, who perhaps aren't quite sure what it means or how it might apply in their life, how do you define performance pressure?
Well, for me personally, it's fear of failure. But I need to explain that properly because I've lost fights and felt like a winner.
Yep.
And I've lost fights and I've just wanted to hide under a doona and feel sorry for myself for a few weeks.
Oh, sure.
So for me, every time I jump in the ring, I want to improve from my last fight. And don't get me wrong, I hate losing. I want to win as well. But someone's got to win, someone's got to lose, right? And you are naturally going to meet people that are better than you, more experienced or smarter in the ring or whatever, and that's fine. That's something you can go back and work on. But when you're not mentally on and you don't do all of what you're capable of, that's hard to deal with because it all comes back to you and it's something that you should be in control of. So for me, when I walk out there, I'm petrified that I'm not going to do my job, that everything that I've worked on isn't going to come out, that, I'll think things as silly as, oh my God, I don't know how to start a fight. Like, what do I do? It's ridiculous. Of course I know what to do, but I think that I don't in that moment. And then the second it begins, if you get stuck in your own head and you don't perform, well, then you've just lost, not because you weren't skillful enough, but because you couldn't control your composure in the ring to do what you've trained to do. So for me, it's about not seeing all that hard work come together in the moment when it counts. And for me, that pressure, it's not from them, but for everyone that helped me get there, I also want to perform for them too because I couldn't do it without them. So that's the fear I have.
Yeah.
So I don't get scared of getting hurt. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. It's about doing my job and doing it well.
Awesome. That's a great little bit of insight there. So then, can you share a time when you were affected by perhaps a specific, if you have one, a time where you were affected by performance pressure? And I suppose that from there the progression is, how did you deal with it, and how would you deal with it now with hindsight?
Yeah, they come out. They've been in a few situations, and it always changes. So sometimes you think, yep, I've got this down pat, I know how to handle it, and something will happen in a fight, and you think, oh, okay, damn it, I'm not there. But one of my earliest fights that I lost, and, there could have been 100 reasons why I lost. I hadn't trained in Thai boxing for 6 months. I'd moved gym. I started with a trainer who I did pads with, I think, once. I went to Thailand for 2 weeks on a holiday, trained there, and come back and took a fight against a girl I had previously wanted to fight when I was in full training, who was really good. Fight start, I get kicked and winded so hard, it just set me into shock. And then for the rest of the fight, I did nothing. I didn't really get hurt because I sort of defended everything, but I actually didn't do anything. And I was sitting in the ring going, oh my God, I can't control my body. I'm like, hit it, do something, and it wouldn't happen. And
it's
then
sort of like your fight mode switched off or something.
Yeah, it's like I just went into a shell and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay. It was probably the first time I wasn't conditioned. I hadn't been sparring. There's a number of things that you could put that down to. But the thing that messed with me the most was when I told my body to do something, it didn't do it. Yeah. And I thought, if I can't control myself, then I can't be in this sport. I need to rise to the challenge, not fall. And, I was just devastated. And once you're negative, well, forget about it. And in such a short time when someone's throwing punches and kicks at you, it's a very quick downhill spiral.
Yeah.
So that fight affected me so much. It was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because that fight changed me as a fighter. I took a few months to sort of get over that, put a lot of doubt in my head about whether I had it in me, and went on to win a few consecutive fights after that, and just learnt that you can't have expectations of the other person when you go in there. Mm-hmm. You can do your job. You don't, you're going to get hit. It's not the end of the world. You're meant to. It's a fight. So that fight was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And it also made me change my view of quite how difficult what I was doing was and how much training I needed as well.
you could say it was perhaps that moment that said, right, I have to make a decision. Either
Yeah.
I'm pursuing this, I'm a fighter,
Yeah.
or I'm not. I'm going and doing something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
That's quite profound, and obviously you made the right decision.
Yeah.
So, if reaching out to the people that will watch this interview, what are your tips? Let's say top 3 tips, if you will, for anyone experiencing some sort of performance pressure. Top 3 tips on how they can perhaps break through it.
One, I think the main thing I would say is embrace it. The reason that you feel that way is because you've prepared for it.
Yep.
And if you don't put your heart and soul into something, then you're not going to be nervous about the outcome. And I think that's why it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
In a fighting sense, those nerves, that adrenaline, that everything, that's your body preparing you for what you're about to do, and that's a good thing. And you want nerves, and you want to be alert, and you want to be reacting. So for me, I think it's just accept that it's going to happen. You're going to feel pressure, and the reason you're going to feel pressure is because you're doing something that's important to you. If you're doing something that's important to you, that's something that you've invested time in, so you've just got to trust in yourself and go with it.
That's awesome.
The sun will rise the next day if it doesn't work out, and you'll come back from it. So it's not the end of the world. So, yeah.
That's great advice. I think that's pretty awesome, and I really hope that whoever's watching this really takes that home with them and understands that, there's going to be times where it's going to feel difficult, but anything that matters will be difficult, and you're going to fall, but so what?
Yeah.
Get back up.
And you continue to fall too. You have great moments. I've had some great moments, and then you fall again. So it always works out for the best long term. So
and really, you learn when you have fallen.
Yeah, you don't learn when you're doing well. Why would you? There's nothing to think about.
Exactly.
You're like, nailed it, done,
Exactly.
next.
So just to wind up, Sylvia, why do you think it's important for people to use positive resources like I Create Positivity's blog and our I Create Positivity TV? Why is it important for people to use these resources in their life?
I think one of the hardest things people do is they try and sort these things out on their own, and sometimes your approach isn't the right approach. Like, I try and do things, and I'm always looking for answers and advice, and because it's a constant battle for me, the mental side of fighting. But what you need to do is surround yourself in positivity, read other people's experiences, see videos, see success stories. And I think, one, it makes you feel like you're not alone. And 2, it's about the right kind of information that's going to actually help you rather than sitting in your own head.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not dignified like that. I want help. Like, I'm not.
You've really hit some big points there, I have to say.
So, for me to have a resource like I Create Positivity, where you can read other people's stories, learn about different methods of handling things, and mostly surround yourself with information that's positive, is just an amazing resource for anyone. So
exactly.
Don't do it on your own. You don't have to.
That's really valuable insight there, I must say. Sylvia, it's been wonderful speaking with you, and we thank you so much for your insights that you've shared, and I think these will echo for a very long time to anyone that wants to listen. So I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.